My name's Taylor McFall. I'm the general manager of Engrain, and I'm going to talk to you today about Engrain's fulfillment process. And when we receive a purchase order, our fulfillment process is kind of broken into two parts. First is before it leaves our facility, and second is after it leaves our facility. And in the before it leaves our facility portion, we break it into three further parts. So that would be production, quality control, and staging / pickup. So I'll start with what happens before we ship the product and talk about the lead time of that a little bit. So when we receive your purchase order, we're going to look at the products and quantities that you've ordered and check our inventory to see if we have that ready to go. If it's already been produced, already been cleared, and we're ready to ship, in that sense, then all we have to do is the third step, prep and staging, and getting it picked up, booking with the transport company. If we don't have everything that you've ordered on the floor, or it's not all cleared, then we're going to have to schedule production. And our production team is really quick at getting things scheduled. Of course, it depends somewhat on the complexity of the product, but generally we can get something produced within about 2 weeks. And then from there, depending again on the complexity of the product and your specific requirements, another week at most to get it cleared. A lot of our products take less than a week, but so we're looking at about 3 weeks from when you place the order until we're done with production and customs clearance. We do have certain countries that have other requirements or tests that we aren't able to do in-house that have to be sent out for additional testing with a third-party lab, which introduces extra delays. But in general, you can think about our piece being about that 3 weeks. Once we've got all the products cleared through our quality control checks, then we can start preparing the shipment. That involves our warehouse picking the lot numbers that we are selling. And by the way, we use first in, first out inventory methods. So they'll go out and pick the product that's been produced first and put it on to our pallets. All of our pallets are heat treated. They will wrap it very well. It's something that we do to make sure that the product arrives in good condition. We may do extra packaging, especially for air shipments or less than container load shipments to protect that pallet. But we'll get it all bundled onto the pallets. We'll get it wrapped. We'll get it with corners or sleeves to protect it as is required. And any special labeling or anything that has to happen will be done at that stage. And our warehouse, again, is very quick. We try to give them 3 days to do things, but often they're finished same day that we make the request, and so then we can ship the very next day. So kind of from start to finish, we receive a PO, we produce it, we clear it, and we ship it. Shouldn't take more than 3 or 4 weeks. And again, that's if we don't have the product on the floor. So if we have it available, if it's a floor stock item and not a custom make to order type product, it can be much faster than that. So then we move on to the post shipment portion of the fulfillment process. And so that really starts when it gets picked up at our door by the trucking company. We are in the middle of the United States. We're in kind of the heart of wheat country as far as the United States is concerned. And so we are unfortunately very far away from the seaports. And that's just a cost of being right in the middle of where all the action is with the wheat innovation that's happening and all of the technology around that, and being close to Kansas State University. So when we have a shipment, it gets picked up by a truck and taken to a port. And if your order is a full container load order, that could be picked up and the truck may bring a container from the Kansas City rail yard, and we would load that container, and they would take it back to the rail yard, and it would go by train to New York, New Jersey, Florida, could go to Los Angeles, or any other seaport in the United States that we got a good booking through. Alternatively, we could put it on a truck in a regular dry van and drive it down to the Port of Houston, which is the nearest port to us by truck. And during the pandemic, we started sending a lot of our freight through Houston to avoid all of the rail congestion that was caused by the supply chain disruptions and a lot of the problems that we were having in some of the major ports, and we started shipping out of the Port of Houston. So we try to be flexible. We are willing to work with all kinds of customer requirements on which port we use, or just trying to find the best options to minimize delays and lead time and shipping disruptions. When you're placing your order and when we're in the quoting process, looking at freight, we can go either with a delivered price, which takes all of the shipping costs into consideration, or we can break it out into a X Works price and with the freight broken out separately. And in that case, we would just work with you on options for what's going to be the fastest lead time, what's going to be the cheapest option, depending on what you value. So we're very flexible in terms of working on that with you. So that transit and routing goes into that. Depending on where you are in the world, we may have direct shipments from a U.S. port to the port near you in your country, or we might have to have it shipped to an intermediary country for transshipment. So oftentimes, if we're going to, for example, East Africa, the cargo is going to stop in South Africa first. If we're going to West Africa, sometimes it stops somewhere in Europe. And certain parts of the Caribbean, we might have a transloading in Jamaica to go to one of the other parts of the Caribbean. And in Asia, a lot of times it could stop in Busan, Singapore, China, before going on to the final destination. And so it's really difficult to give a solid ETA on a video like this without any of the details, but once the shipment leaves our door and we have a routing in place, we can share the ETAs and the transit times. We can often do that in the quoting process as well, so that you have an idea of when that product will arrive. And of course, we don't have much control over it once it leaves our door, as far as delays and some of those things, but we will be transparent with you about what we're seeing in terms of schedules and what the options are. Another aspect of the dispatch to delivery piece of the shipping process is shipping documents, and we produce kind of standard shipping documents for you: commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin. We'll do a free trade agreement type document if you're in a Central America part of CAFTA, or US or Canada. That would be the USMCA. So anywhere that the United States has a free trade agreement with, we produce those documents. You'll also get certificates of analysis for each of the lot numbers that you purchase. The information on those certificates of analysis just depends on what your requirements are for that. And then we can do certificates of free sale, which would be a document from our Department of Ag stating that we're freely allowed to sell the product into the market. We also do safety data sheets, which is so that everyone handling the product along the way knows how to manage any damage or spills that might happen with the the products. All of our products are in the form of a dry powder, and so that can be alarming to people along the way if it spills out. So we just have that safety data sheet to let them know how to deal with that and what the risks are and are not of that product. So generally what we do is once the product's been picked up, we generate all of those documents. We may send you a draft before the shipment is picked up, especially if we're onboarding you as a new customer. We want to make sure that we have everything right before it even leaves our door, and especially before it would leave the U.S. port. So we'll send you draft documents, all of the ones that I mentioned. If you have any special requirements for documents, for example, some of our customers want a certificate of insurance, some want a health certificate, or any other special testing requirements or anything, we want to have that conversation before we produce the product and during the quoting process, so that we can make sure that we deliver all of that to you in a timely manner. And so once you've received the draft shipping documents, we ask you to review them, to send back any feedback, any changes, any amendments that are needed to those documents, so that we can get them right before the shipment leaves the United States. Once we've agreed that the documents are going to work for you for customs clearance, then we'll send those by courier to wherever you need them to go. Oftentimes it would be just to your office so that you can get them to your forwarder, but we can send them direct to the forwarder or really anywhere that they need to go to help you with customs clearance. We'll also send a draft bill of lading or airway bill to you if that. We'll also send a draft ocean bill of lading to you for review. Generally on airfreight shipments, the providers only send a draft airway bill if we request it, but we're happy to do that and send it to you if you need. And yeah, all of those documents, we try to be very responsive to your requirements and needs on those, so that you have a great experience and no delays in clearing the product in your country. I keep speaking as though it's a given that you would be the one doing, the customer would be the one doing the clearance. We do work with distributors in certain markets, and so if you're in one of those markets, we can also send it to the distributor, send the product to the distributor for them to sell on to you. So definitely reach out to us if you have, if that is a requirement that you have, that we have distribution in your country. If we already have it, great. If we don't have a distributor in your market, we can work together to identify somebody that would be a benefit to both of us. So definitely reach out to us about any of those questions. Beyond that, we generally will send just to the destination port in your country and do not arrange on carriage beyond the port. The reason for that is that in our experience as a company in the United States, if we request the on carriage, the inland transportation from the port to your door, the transportation providers in the destination country generally do not give us very good rates. So we've always found that if the importer of record reaches out to those transportation providers, whether it's a trucking company or courier, or depending on the size of the shipment and all of that, that the importer always gets better trucking rates than we are able to get through our agents and transportation providers here in the United States. We are willing to quote it, but our experience has been that really no one has ever wanted us to handle it from the port to the door. Last piece is, once you've received the product, what services can we offer you after the fact? So some of the requests we tend to get would be, for example, if you ordered too much product and it ends up expiring before you can use it, If you send us samples of the product as it's been stored in your warehouse, we can run an analysis on those samples to recertify the effectiveness of the product. We can't say anything about food safety because we can't verify how the product's been stored in your facility, but we can say whether or not the product is still working as it was designed to work. And so we can issue a letter stating that for you to use as documentation if you'd like to continue using the product. Other services we can offer for certain customers might be if we are selling you vitamins and you would like for us to test that you've dosed the vitamin properly into your flour, you can send us a sample of the flour and we can run analysis to tell you what the vitamin level of the premix of the individual vitamins are in your flour. We're always available to help with technical questions and technical issues to the best of our ability. So if you're having an issue with our product, we invite you to reach out to us, tell us what you're seeing, and ask us any questions. And we're always happy to provide that technical service as we're able. So I believe that's all that I'm going to talk about today. But we are here ready and waiting to help you. We want to help you meet your goals and your dreams for your business. So reach out to us at Engrain and let's start working together as partners.